Well, hello, that's me again. Today is Sunday. It is the November 2024. We are approaching fast the Thanksgiving Day. Guess from three times what movie we're gonna be watching again each year. Planes, Trains, Automobiles, obviously. The favorite one when Hollywood was great. I deliberately didn't start today all kinds of the fancy videos, just, the title and implications. And this is what I want to tell you and to talk to you about today, about the implications of what had happened on the 22nd of November. And we will start with the very practical issues, discussing them, and then we'll kind of turn to usual political discussion. And I do not want to take too much of your time, and you may understand that I probably can talk or could talk for a long, long time every day. But let's start with simple things. Already in 2018, actually, I'm giving you here just the exposition of my 2019 article. I love internet. It really keeps the documents, the paper trail, if you wish, of things we say and write. And as you can see yourself, on October 3, 2019, I spoke already after I disclosed this, what I call the revelation mode. And revelation mode in Russia is the revealing step by step of the not only weapon systems but technologies, some of them revolutionary, which drive the development of the weapon systems. And since then, if you go to my blog and you type in the search bar the revelation mode, you will find so many articles from so many years where I talk about it, that after the March 3rd or March 1st, I think, 2018, when Mr. Putin, as everybody remembers, demonstrated those, as they called, Putin's cartoons about hypersonic weapons and other weapon systems, which are absolutely mind-boggling, such as the Poseidon or Petrel, which is Oreshnik. So we have now Oreshnik. And as already many high-level officials, ranging from Putin himself to Mr. Medvedev and others, already stated, this is just the part of the weapon systems Russia already has in line. And for example, Oreshnik, once you have to understand, once Mr. Putin says that we are beginning the serial production of it, you can bet your whatever you want behind if you wish that it's already in serial production. And that is why he was stating this, and a number of other top level officials stated that it already has significant number of the launch systems. And that doesn't sit well with NATO and the combined West. But before we go into kind of larger, so to speak, political framework, let me explain why it matters. As you know, the strike, which you already everybody saw it, which was launched at the Dnepropetrovsk, at the Yuzhmash, famous Yuzhmash plant. Here is what Yuzhmash and how Yuzhmash looks on the map. If you take a look attentively at the scale, I'm not talking about Dniprovsky machine building plant, which is stuck near the famous Yuzhmash, but if you take a look attentively at the right lower corner, you will see yourself the scale, which is 1,000 feet. Well, it's roughly 330 meters. And so if you mentally, or some people may use even the ruler, you'll put it and along the red lines, which delineate the borders and margins of this plant, you will see yourself. It's a very large place, and one side is a mile, the other side mile and a half. So it's a large place. Well, and here is the funny thing. It's not there anymore. All of it. It's just gone, including those very deep underground facilities on which, as we now know, the American and British were toiling together with the ships of the Ukrainian engineers and workers to create some kind of the missiles to make Russia really feel a pinch, so to speak. Well, they are not there anymore. And so obviously United States and Great Britain will need to come up with all kinds of the convincing fairy tales about how those people, be them military and civilian, died. Because obviously there is, as many testimonies tell us today, it's basically nothing left there, just the rubble. That's it. It's gone. And people say, how could this have happened? Well, these are Russians, okay? So this is what you have to understand. Russians don't care about, PR and exposing this, sexy things and making movies about them with Tom Cruise and them. No, they just care about a very effective way of killing the enemies. But Oreshnik, apart from the fact that it did create shock around the world, and as of now, we didn't see any kind of launches of the ATACMS or Storm Shadows into Russia. Yesterday, some erroneous report was there that there were 27 UAVs and allegedly 2 missiles shot down in Kursk area. Well, it has been debunked by Russian Defense Ministry when they stated that actually there were no missiles, any kind of Ukrainian missiles. There were UAVs, but they were launching UAVs and Russia of their own, cottage industry type, adaptations of all kinds of the old planes or Cessna derivatives. So for a while now. So yeah, all of them have been shut down. So far, no missiles. Well, they may yet start flying again, but as Russia demonstrated, Russia doesn't need, nuclear weapons to wipe out pretty much anything in Europe, or if it moves actually its launches and systems of the Oreshnik to Chukotka, well, pretty much most of the United States will be in the range. So, but the point is this. So if you take a look attentively on this map, this is Bremenhaven. This is the Bremenhaven harbor, and again, in the right lower corner, you can see yourself the scale of 1 mile. In red, there is underlined the length of the mooring capabilities, so to speak, or the length of the pier, essentially at which all kinds of strategic lift may moor if, for example, United States, which is not ready to fight real war, I repeat it non-stop, United States simply has no army to fight it. But if it will decide to, for example, move some strategic lift ships will break through somehow to deliver some kind of forces, you can bet basically whatever you want on it, that this pier will cease to exist, and the rest of the actually Bremenhaven will not be destroyed. But the United States, be that Marseille or Bremenhaven, no matter what they do, they will not be able to deliver any kind of essentially strategic lift, to deliver any kind of the formations and the, all kinds of the divisions or what have you with their hardware. They will have no place to unload it. If, of course, they even break through the Atlantic shipping lanes of communications. If some people like General Keane or General Kellogg or General Petraeus or this guy who is, he's clown basically, Ben Hodges, decide to really fight war with Russia. So, and the situation with Oreshnik has massive implications, not just from the point of view of the balance, which is obvious, and there is a shock in the Western capitals, so much so that essentially they will be, how to put it politely, they will hold their emergency meeting. Here's the emergency meeting. This is Breitbart, and so they talk about that after that, the NATO and Ukraine to hold emergency talks after Russian hypersonic missile attack. There's nothing really to discuss, and I will explain to you why. And why this is significant, as you can see yourself, that Russia attacked a central city. Russia attacked not city. Russia attacked the essentially military-industrial installation. Russia doesn't kill civilians, unlike NATO armies do. But so it's not really also ballistic. I will explain to you why you cannot call this missile just ballistic missile, although it is using the ballistic missile, which is a booster. But so they want to start this talks on Tuesday. I don't know what they're going to be talking about there. And as Colonel Daniel Davis was explaining to this moron from Fox News yesterday, and yeah, they are imbeciles basically. And he still didn't get the message when Daniel Davis explained to him several times that it's over. The war is lost, and it's not just the war is lost. The global, basically, face-off is done. And this guy, I mean, he is American journal. So an American journal, on average, is an imbecile without any education, because journalism is not education, it's not craft, it's not profession, it's not even occupation. So, but yeah, he sits there and Colonel explains to him several times, same thing, and the guy still doesn't get it. Well, let me explain why he doesn't get it. It's not only the fact that Russia can do and wipe out, as Mr. Medvedev stated, if, for example, France, which France, guess what? There is the French foreign minister. They still, these people, this Chihuahua, European Chihuahua, still thinks that they are living in the times of Napoleon. They not. They are second tempo nation with a small nuclear deterrent, and yeah, some still advanced industry such as which is essentially the combination of all European powers taking part in the Airbus, but we have now this moron, French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot, has said that Ukraine may use French missiles to attack targets in internationally recognized Russian territory without confirming whether such strikes have already taken place. I think so French should do it. And as Mr. Medvedev stated that, well, Paris is a crap hole anyway, it stinks, so Élysée Palace and Macron and his cabal of the deviants and imbeciles, which French gladly re-elect, well, yeah, they should be gone. I mean, if people do not understand what is told to them, well, what can I say? But let's go back to the real technical and operational and even tactical implications of what had happened and why the war will never be the same and the West is done. It's absolutely useless. Their militaries are useless, whatever they have. I'll talk about this today. So let me explain to you. If, for example, apart from all those cowardly launches hiding behind the backs of their Ukrainian cannon fodder with those French, British, and Americans, trying to somehow damage Russian civilians, pretend that they try to attack something of significance, that's pretty much the extent of it. I can tell you now that ground warfare and combined arms, as we know, is no more. Let me explain. And this is what many people will not understand. You need the military professional to explain to them. Once you see, and well, we will see it, although SBU, the Security Service of Ukraine, completely classified any data and about the state of the Yuzhmash, we just know it doesn't exist anymore, including the underground facilities. There is a situation. You saw yourself the scale of the Yuzhmash, okay? Let me explain what we are facing in terms of the combined arms warfare. If you take a look at, for example, this is Russian battalion, okay? This is called assembly area. No military fights things without assembly area, unless of course we're talking about the amphibious operation where you literally have to go from the disembarking point into whatever however it is planned. But in reality, in the continental warfare, you need to, have your forces assembled before you begin to develop your either offensive or, for that matter, defensive operations. It depends on whatever is happening there. I do not want to go into the neck of the woods of all those combat manuals and field manuals to explain to you, but what you can see yourself, this is motorized rifle battalion assembly area. Depending on the type of the battalion, be it armor battalion or motor rifle battalion. As you can see yourself, there are all kinds of the lines of defense, and it occupies some kind of the positions, which ranging, well, for motorized rifle battalion, we would say, well, depending on, obviously, on the type of the battalion and on terrain, it's probably couple kilometers by couple kilometers at best, and roughly, make no mistake, it varies. But if you go now and you can take a look at, for example, parts of the brigade combat teams of the United States Army, which is very similar with Russians. As you can see yourself, this is the part of their assembly area, tactical assembly area, that could be even a company from what, no, not company, but probably battalion type size and only part. You see, it's some kind of the desert, and obviously in desert you could be more compact, and you can take a look at this also. This is also parts of the assembly area, and so you stick there, there's command post of the whatever you have. In this particular case, it's the second heavy brigade combat team. It's only part of it. Obviously, it's larger. The area itself is larger. Well, I like the trucks there. So this is the assembly area. This is where the force gets, itself, that accumulates, and actually gets prepared to conduct whatever the kind of maneuver or operation they need to do. And as you already know, for example, the brigade combat team, which is the part of the all kinds of the divisions of the United States, is usually between 4 to even 5,500 people. Well, and here comes this issue. Once you assemble anywhere in the modern ISR and you are identified, as you saw yourself, considering the scale and the size of the Yuzhmash, which was completely wiped out, and nothing lives there, nothing, literally, there will be nobody to bury because there will be no bodies. So what can I say? You now understand what I'm talking about. You cannot assemble yourself. Not only you cannot disembark in Europe to conduct any kind of operations, but even, for example, if you're French army and you pretend that you still matter and that you are real, military force, or for example, British army, you will not be able to assemble anywhere, and you cannot start any kind of operations if you decide to, for example, fight Russia without, creating this assembly area and, preparing for whatever the maneuver. You will be going through all kinds of the lines of the, deployment, building yourself into all kinds of the battalion columns, or it's gone. You cannot do that because you will be annihilated. The moment you are identified, you don't need tactical nukes. You just pretty much fly a single missile of Oreshnik and it's gone. So if you have several assembly areas, that means, for example, the divisional type thing, of course you're spread a little bit more over the space or the area. Well, it doesn't matter now, and because judging by the effectiveness of the weapon, which is, people in the West are shell-shocked. I'm talking about not only people, regular people, I'm talking about corrupt and treasonous elites which run West into this wall. You're gonna lose, like what, 12,000 people killed a day? So good luck with that. Apart from the fact that you're gonna lose all hardware, you're gonna lose all the command posts, communications, and things of this nature. Not to mention the fact, as Mr. Medvedev stated today, say, yeah, well, do we want Paris to, well, center of the Paris, there is no need to, touch the banlieues. They will finish the deed after that. So, yeah, what can I say? That's very simple. And guess what? Look at hands. No jokes, no nuclear weapons, just conventional weapons. And what comes next in line, we do not even know. Evidently, we're looking at the absolute stunning, staggering power, and many people do not understand, which whenever we talk about nuclear weapons, when you read the word or term yield, let's say 150 kilotons or 1 megaton. Do not forget, this is not the main part of the weapon, or rather it's only the half part of the nuclear weapon. The other part, which is the most critical term, is might of the weapon. This is могущество. The might is the fact of basically ability of the weapon to deal the damage or achieve the some kind of the military objective if it's launched. So now Russia doesn't need nuclear weapons in terms of dealing with any kind of the combination of any force which NATO will decide to. They will not. They don't have it. Europe is bankrupt, so is the United States, and militarily, it's, as I already stated, these are forces stuck in 1990. Russia fights now actually the 21st century war. And if we go and look at basically the numbers today, so well yesterday, so well, as you can see yourself, we are slowly inching up towards this psychological barrier, even by the uber conservative estimates of, or count, if you wish, of Russian Defense Ministry, which is the 1 million from the start of the special military operation. But I think so we can now very confidently state that just the number of killed in action of Ukrainian soldiers, and obviously those mercenaries and not mercenaries of the West, is in excess of 1 million TIAs. Killed in action. So this is actually the, how to say, the heritage of Mr. Biden and his administration. This is what what legacy, that's the legacy. Now, after we talked about it, now to demonstrate to you why Russians are laughing at basically European armies, we have obviously a situation with United Kingdom, which, well, these are the guys, by the way, who are evidently are the leaders in the planning of all those disasters and military catastrophes. Well, at least Americans want to move the honor, shift the honor, quote unquote, for this, military incompetence. And I will talk about military incompetence to United Kingdom now. Just watch the video of Mr. Biden talking to Mr. Starmer and explaining to him basically in no, obscure terms that essentially, United States will stay with Great Britain or United Kingdom. Of course, United Kingdom now has to take the fall for this, well, catastrophe, which is basically will be the end of the West as we know it. We know, obviously, the real reason, but still, it's funny. Now they want to, difficult decisions are required to save the military hundreds of millions of pounds, Defense Secretary John Healey has said. And acknowledging serious financial pressure in the defense budget, Healey said that the UK will now retire a total of 5 warships, including the amphibious assault ship HMS Albion and HMS Bulwark, large auxiliary ship, and including the frigate, also HMS Northumberland. So, well, that's pretty much the logical conclusion of the empire, which is reduced now to, well, it will be a third world pretty soon. And people who say that, oh, you're being facetious, or you don't like British. No, it's not true. I am actually, as I already many times stated, I have feeling for British people, to English people. But again, what can I say? It is what it is. It is just inevitable outcome of the, how to say it, the whole activity for the last 500 years. Now we have to go back and explain to you why the United States has been so slow in really understanding what is going on. And as I already stated, one of the proponents of this is Mr. General Keane. I am on record. Basically, no modern U.S. general, first, no American U.S. Serviceman knows what does it mean to defend his family and his motherland. None. Zero. Most of the American wars are the wars of the conquest or the expeditionary warfare of the empire. So now we have this guy, and this guy was parading himself as a clown together with Petraeus, Ben Hodges, and things of this nature. Now we suddenly have this Times. Well, you have to keep in mind that times it's the British rag. I mean, populated by the nincompoops and wild people, basically. Normal people do not work in Western media. And as you can see yourself, we have the article in Times by Michael Evans, it's 2 days ago, about that West facing greatest peril since Second World War, says ex-general. First, Mr. King has to go back to school and learn about the greatest peril. He knows nothing, as doesn't know Pentagon about what real peril, and especially in the Second World War II, was. But again, you cannot explain average American general because obviously most American generals are MBAs. They are not real generals. And so U.S. military advisor Jack Keane, a former four-star general, says Russia, China, and North Korea see America as weak and Donald Trump must address the threat rapidly. First, they don't see America as weak. America is weak. It's just very good at parading itself and doing this PR legerdemain. And so to I don't know why this guy really gets into the, neck of the woods while explaining this, but I can tell you one thing. The guy is hopelessly out of it. He is hopelessly incompetent, as are most U.S. generals, because they don't study real military history and operations. And as I already stated, if you go to any kind of things, including the military strategic studies in the this short program of the General Staff and Command College of the U.S. Army in Leavenworth, Kansas, if you look at the course, I mean, how can you study anything when you basically invented all your military history of the 20th century and the 21st one? By the way, just doing so, losing all their wars. So here's the guy, General Jack Keane, a retired four-star general and former vice chief of the U.S. Army, is one of the most influential military figures in Washington. So no surprise that the United States cannot win the freaking anything and loses even to Taliban. Everyone seeks his advice. I don't know who seeks his advice because everyone in Washington, D.C. evidently is not up to par running the modern country and such complex country in the United States, least of all militarily. So they talk about the Democrats and Republicans, including the man who is to be the 47th president, Mr. Trump. Well, how to put it politely? We saw what Mr. Trump did in the first term, so yeah, it's not gonna get much better if he continues to seek the advice of this guy who never won any kind of war, and he basically was in the losing proposition all his life. He's probably very pissed, and I understand when you are 81 years old and you have nothing to show for it except for the pathos, and let me put it this way, you are incompetent. The guy wouldn't even pass the entrance exam into any Russian war college. And I'll explain why not. And so they go way back. When Donald Trump won the election in 2016, he wanted Keane to be his defense secretary, but Keane's wife had just died and he reluctantly declined the job. The guy is, let me put it this way, he is a warmonger, and the reason he is a warmonger, and he is not American patriot in the classic understanding, he is a chauvinist. He read all those books about how the United States Army and General Patton defeated Hitler, and so he believes in that fairy tales, and so he is one of the, basically, the guys who, how to say, procure those fairy tales, and he constantly is in a warmonger mode, not understanding what modern warfare is. How could he? If you read his CV, look at his CV. Oh yeah, he was in Vietnam. Well, too, so big deal. Very many people have been in all kinds of the combat zones, but as I already stated, Pentagon in general doesn't understand war. They haven't been in any real war, and so look at his CV. He graduated with a BS degree in accounting in 1966. He then attended Western Kentucky University and graduated with a MA degree in philosophy. And later he graduated from the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College and U.S. Army War College. Here's the guy who has zero, in fact, it is negative, physics, mathematics, and engineering background, which is critical in understanding how modern war is done. Unlike practically any graduate of Russian military academies, they are essentially engineers primarily with very advanced degrees. So there you go. This is the guy. He won't understand the physics of hypersonic weapons. He will not understand the physics of the modern, actually network-centric warfare and how rook rocks operate and things of this nature. Yet here we are. He lost all his wars, starting from Vietnam, going to, well, Kosovo. Wow, what a war. He basically fought all his life against the people who couldn't shoot back or couldn't shoot straight, like the third-rate, semi-literate, backward Saddam's army. That's the only accomplishment. And even that accomplishment is not really serious accomplishment when you consider what kind of war it was. And so here you are. That's the typical American general. And people say, oh, you're not really, justified in your, broad brush and, generalizing like this. No, we saw the actual activities of three-star general Aguta, who is the guy in charge of the OS operation of the armed forces of Ukraine, and he's sitting in Ramstein, and together with all his, panel of all those Radakins and all those nincompoops with 44-week course behind their belt from Sandhurst, who won't understand the difference between tactical and operational. Here you are. Those guys planned those operations. They killed more than 1 million people. And what can I say? They lost the arms race. They also lost the civilizational race. It is over for the West. And let's hope and pray that those morons and this feeble-minded American president outgoing, together with the basically cabal of the humanities dumbed-down cretins who run, well, they run the United States into the ground, essentially, that they will not decide to go to the nuclear threshold. They will go to the nuclear threshold. Russia doesn't need nuclear weapons to wipe out the critical strategic targets in Europe, including military installations. And as you might already have guessed it, the next demonstration will be probably against Radzikova and Deveselu, those Aegis Ashore installations. So, and you will see yourself what's going to happen. So, and this is what I wanted to tell you today. And this is obviously Sunday, as always. Those people who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on the Patreon, on Buy Me and Coffee and too. And as always, have a nice rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.